Is Paramore putting out a surprise album? Let's talk about it. Welcome to Not Every Single. I'm Joe.
And I'm Stephanie.
Usually we're talking new releases, new singles, new albums, but let's talk about something that may or may not exist. Now, we know Paramore has been in the studio working on a new record. Mm-hmm. Their first in a long time. They've been inactive for, I think, 4 years.
Yeah, Hayley Williams has put out 2 solo albums working with at least one of the band members. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think so. Mm-hmm. Kind of in a producer role.
Yeah.
And we both really like those albums.
Yeah.
The solo albums are cool. I think Hayley Williams really tried some interesting stuff on tracks like Cinnamon and another one I can't remember. But yeah, especially production-wise, like really getting experimental.
Well, definitely with Petals for Armor. Flowers for Vases was more stripped down. She did everything herself.
That's right.
One of my favorite albums of that year, and wish more people would listen to it.
Yeah, and now they're reconvening as Paramore. We know that in January they announced they're in the studio working on a new album. Haven't heard much about the record since, except for Hayley Williams saying that it's inspired by Block Party. In particular, their debut record, Silent Alarm, which is another record we both love.
Yeah. I'm glad she specified because we haven't been as into their more recent output.
Yeah, I don't think very many people have been into their more recent output. Sorry, Kelly. Yeah, Silent Alarm through their 4th record, creatively called 4. I love that whole run. I think those are great albums, and I think even Intimacy and 4 are very underrated, but Silent Alarm is that seminal record, and what a good record for them to be inspired by, for Paramore to be inspired by and set their targets on as sort of a jumping off point.
Yeah, and I mean, I think obviously Hayley Williams has been inspired by a lot of different things. I felt some St. Vincent influence maybe in Petals for Armor.
Totally.
And just some different things. I haven't really listened to a lot of their discography, but I know After Laughter was also like more new wave, and so
totally was.
There's just a lot of. They're not like this pop punk band anymore, and they're really showing that they can do a lot of different things. They don't have to stick to this one kind of pigeonhole that everyone has them in. And looking back, they have done a lot of different things, and especially After Laughter to now, Hayley's been really trying different things. It's
a great time for them to come back. You have this pop punk resurgence with things like Machine Gun Kelly, in a better one, Willow. I really like Willow. Mm-hmm. And, this sort of Avril Lavigne renaissance going on. And I think a lot of people are looking back on that sound and really digging it again and reinterpreting it in new ways. And so that's a great time for them to come back. And they did say that it's going to be like an emo pop punk comeback record.
Okay. So they're not going to do the same exact record as Riot. They're going to take that and expand on it, hopefully.
That's what I would love to hear. I mean, it takes something like Riot that's perfectly executed for what they were trying to do at the time. Mm-hmm. And what does that look like now? More than a decade later?
Yeah, I mean, I think Hayley Williams was, probably a teen back then, and she's 30 now. Yeah. So, and been through a divorce. Flowers for Vases was 100% just this extraordinary breakup album and just heartbreaking.
Yeah, so going through all that and sort of, reconvening with these people that are important in your life and then reaching back into that old sound. Mm-hmm. That sounds like a really interesting premise to me. I want to hear how that sounds coming out of the same people now. Well, not all the same people, but
Yeah, and a collaboration as a band instead of a solo project.
So right now it's Taylor York, Zach Farro,
I don't know how to say it.
Ferraro, and Haley Williams. They're a trio, and it was that way for the last two records, and then I think they were collaborating a little bit on the solo stuff. So they got these shows coming up.
Yeah, they've got a tour booked.
Is it festival appearances or a tour?
Oh, I don't know. I thought it was a tour. It just said tour, I think, on the thing that I saw, but
Okay.
it could easily be festival dates. I didn't look that closely at it.
Well, regardless, they're coming back live. Fans are amped up about that. That's really exciting. These are their first shows in 4 years. And there's all these little clues that maybe there's a surprise release coming. Now, I've been looking into it. People think that we're recording on the 8th, the night of the 8th, September 8th. People think that it's tomorrow on the 9th. So there's a couple things going on. One is the website. Did you hear about this?
No, I mean, I just have some vague information based off of the pop emergency that I saw on the Pophead subreddit. That's what they say, pop emergency.
So if you go to the subreddit, or not subreddit, if you go to Paramore's website, it's been sort of stripped down to this like plain white website with some cryptic like dates, and next to each date is like a thing.
A thing.
Next to the 9th, it says wrong.
Okay.
So that could be read a couple different ways. It could be, is everybody wrong? Is there not something coming out tomorrow? Or is it a single called Wrong?
Or an album called Wrong.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be interesting. Bad name for an album, but maybe it is an album called Wrong.
Yeah, it could be worse. And one of the other things, maybe you were going to mention this, but from what I read, tomorrow is the last episode of her pop punk podcast she's been doing.
Yes. That is interesting. She's telling the story of pop punk, and getting to the end of it. What a good time to launch your return to that sound. Mm-hmm. It makes sense to me.
A kind of a long con. I mean, the podcast hasn't been on for super long, but with that timing of it, planning it out so that a single or an album could come out as it ends, that's pretty cool. I like that.
Our cat's laying down behind us. It's really cute. Keep looking at him. I agree. I think that would be perfect. And it's not like a surprise album is anything new right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's totally on trend. You got Beyonce surprise albums, Eminem surprise albums. It's kind of the thing. Not really in this genre, but might as well start. I mean, what if you're a band that's that massive already, such as Paramore? Does a traditional promotion cycle really benefit you that much? Mm-hmm. Or is it like just put it out, boom, everyone's psyched, big momentum, go on tour, music videos and stuff, they can just come out after. It doesn't matter anymore in the way the music is consumed these days.
Yeah, it's definitely a way to do it. I mean, you can put out a few singles beforehand, still do a more traditional idea. A lot of people say like, what's the point of even putting out a single after the album's out? But I think single and album release at the same time could be really cool. You could also get a sense from the fans what songs people are really into and choose those to make videos and sort of be the singles.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you a perfect example right now. If you think back to 2019, one of the biggest records of 2019 was that first Billie Eilish record. The single Bad Guy came out on release day. Mm-hmm. The other single, it was like the fourth single from that album. It had been building up. But if you didn't know that, you would maybe think like that was the big lead up single that caused the record to be huge. No, it came out the same day as the album and blew up. So like things like this don't really matter as much now. I could totally see them just putting it out tomorrow and causing a big stir that way. Now, the alt press, the alternative rock press or whatever, that magazine, they tweeted Paramore. That's it.
Oh, they did one of those tweets. It's
And
like,
that's it. That's the tweet. Yeah.
Okay, we can stop doing that now. By the way,
Stop. But they did tweet that today.
Do you know how, you probably don't know how Hayley Williams released the first single from her Flowers for Vases album.
It was a unique kind of release strategy.
Yeah, that just reminds me. So what she did was she went to a fan's house. Like, I don't know how like it was chosen, but like off her mailing list or Instagram or whatever, went to a fan and personally delivered a copy of the first single unannounced.
I love it.
And then it was out. Like a person had it and then it got out. It unfortunately actually was not. I thought the single was actually maybe the worst song on the album, but still a really cool thing to do.
That's
it's not
really
like
cool,
nothing
yeah.
else has ever been done like that, but that just, it was a low key, kind of that album didn't have a huge, press push behind it. So to do something so like personal and interesting and like connecting with a fan, I think that was a really good idea.
I'm going to go ahead and cite that as further evidence that, this could happen. The surprise release could happen. Clearly she's maybe past wanting to do traditional rollouts and is already, clearly is already experimented with different types of rollouts. So why not drop a surprise comeback record? It also sort of takes the pressure off a comeback album. A comeback album is it's just so much pressure. That's why a lot of the times when bands come back for a big reunion tour, they'll often start with just like a single, like a one-off single to promote the tour. Or like when the Pixies came back and they just did like some EPs and then it led up to an album. Something to take the pressure off of this like massive comeback endeavor. It makes total sense to me. I think we could totally see an album tomorrow.
Yeah, and I also think that, after the last couple of years of not, as much press and touring and stuff happening, I think there's some bands that are kind of like done with the press junket cycle too. I know when Fiona Apple put out Fetch the Bolt Cutters, she was, I think, thrilled to be able to put it out and not have to do any press. And that album got a 10 out of 10 on Pitchfork or whatever, and is I think was widely regarded as one of the best albums of the year. You don't have to have these like dumb interviews. I mean, some people enjoy doing it. Sometimes the interviews are cool, but it's got to be such a grind.
Yeah.
Doing all that.
I'm seeing it more and more now, untraditional rollout and then talk to like Zane Lowe for an hour. And that's kind of the interview, or Zach Sane or whatever. And kind of have that be the core piece of like interview content. Or look at the Strokes, 2013 Come Down Machine, just complete media blackout and like a plain cover, like just here's the album and no tour or anything. Now, obviously we're not getting that, but just another example of how different these kind of things can be now. So I hope we get a record tomorrow. It'd be really cool to be listening to a new Paramount, a new Paramore album tomorrow. What do you think? Do you think we're getting a record?
Is it already out? Are we too late with our video?
Is this video completely useless and we wasted our time recording it? Possibly. We'll see. Thanks for checking it out. This is Not Every Single. I'm Joe.
And I'm Stephanie.
See you later.